Hey everyone, this is Kate from Moonflower Moments. Welcome and welcome back. I am doing a video response to Faysite Tarot and her video, Questions Not to Ask Your Tarot. So these are questions you typically wouldn't ask your tarot. They're very serious in nature. And I just kind of thought it would be a lot of fun to take some time and contemplate essentially the essence of tarot and what it's like here on camera. So I will be doing some live readings. I also want to go ahead and mention Astaria Zen's response to this because it absolutely had me chuckling with laughing. I'm going to take a more serious approach because I am a very, very serious individual. I couldn't be funny even if I tried. But if you need something that is like very lighthearted to kind of warm your heart, and you just want to see like funny tarot content in general, definitely go check out Astaria Zen and then Faylite Tarot's original responses. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And the first question is quite the heavy hitter. It is, what is the purpose of tarot? I'm really going to take some time to kind of center my breathing and center my energy. So it might take some time for me to pull some cards. If it takes me 40 minutes between each card pull, I'll just go ahead and edit that out. So the first question is, what is the purpose of tarot? Beautiful. So I'm using the Magical Nature Tarot. And then if I choose to want to clarify, I'm going to be using the Illuminated Earth Oracle. Oh, beautiful. I love this. I actually had 2 cards pop out for it. Okay, I love this so much. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of shaking. Okay, so the purpose of tarot really seems to be to help us throughout the process, to remind us that we have inner knowing within ourselves, that we can close our eyes to the external influences that are around us, because at our core of hearts, we do understand the mystery as well as the grief that comes with like being alive. So the purpose of tarot is really to help us navigate through these times of mystery, through these times of grief, kind of embrace those times and know that we have enough inner strength and enough inner stillness to really be able to navigate through these situations in a way that honors our inner voice. Okay, so that was the purpose of tarot. What a heavy hitter to start out with. All right, the next one is, if tarot became a living person, what would they be like? If tarot became a living person, what would they be like? Strength. Let me go ahead and look at this card. This is so interesting how like the layers of the mane are kind of wrapped around here. To me, it almost kind of feels like it's like a snake, right? This kind of looks like a snake to me. And so I am kind of intuitively getting the concept that if tarot were like a person, they would be someone that really tends to understand the need for everyday changes. So like the snake that's kind of wrapping around this lion, they would see the point in those everyday changes. They would see the strength in those everyday changes, and they would thrive within those everyday changes. Tarot would be someone that's able to overcome because they recognize the process and the necessity of those transformations. And they wouldn't like stand their ground in a way that is stagnant. Instead, they would really open themselves up to growth and development at every single corner. So I think in itself, you know, there is kind of like a self-assuredness. When I think of the Strength card, I do think of someone that is very self-assured because I associate it with Leo. There's a lot of like, it requires you to be very self-assured to look yourself in the mirror and saying like, I am changing, and that is a good thing. So I think it's someone that is very confident, but just very much trusts the process of those changes. Cool. So if tarot became a living person, they would be the Strength card. The next question is, describe the spirit of tarot. So describe the essence of tarot. So what does tarot feel like? What is its essence? What is its core? Oh, very interesting. I got the 7 of Swords for that. And look how negative this one is depicted. It definitely kind of leans into that thief mentality. Very interesting. We have fertility and we have fire next to the Seven of Swords. Oh, Lord, interesting. So I would say at its core, tarot is something that allows us to get out of these sticky situations. Tarot in itself is something that allows us to get out of sticky situations. Similarly to what is going on here in the Seven of Swords, it allows us to kind of see the reasons and the justifications of how we got into those sticky situations to begin with, and allows us to be a lot more gentle with ourselves when we are analyzing our own motives, but also the motives of everyone else around us. 7 definitely denotes to me like instability and turning points as well, with the swords kind of representing the mental landscape. So I think in that kind of way, tarot, the essence of tarot is that it also kind of encourages us to see things from like different points of view and to really take some time to stretch ourselves outside of our own perspectives. And that's kind of the challenge that it presents. And from that, we're able to grow both with fire and then also fertility. The essence of tarot in this case feels like very expansive. Like we're breaking from traditional norms. We're breaking from traditional, like Christian spirituality or other like major dominant religions. And through that process of examining like our own thoughts, but examining the thoughts of other people through the challenges of kind of breaking from traditional norms, we're able to really find fuel for our fire and our own kind of love for our own spirituality. And that in itself makes tarot a very a very fertile ground for growth. So I would say that the essence of tarot is all about kind of challenging like conventional norms, getting us to understand ourselves more deeply, and so that we have the fuel to essentially move forward and live a life that is fertile to us and not just prescribed to us, but a life that we have chosen and a life that we have picked, a life that we've deliberately decided to nourish, just like this woman here. Okay. That I'm going to have to think a lot more about. Definitely has some energy of like breaking from the norms. So that was the Spirit of Tarot. Next, I'm going to pull the most misunderstood card. So tarot, what is the most misunderstood card? And I think I'm going to make this a me question. Like, what is the card I least understand? Might build an altar out of this one. Here we go, the Four of Swords. Okay, are you claiming that I definitely said the purpose of tarot was wrong? It's a possibility. I might be getting called out right now. That's so interesting. So the card that I least understand is the Four of Swords. I think from a personal point of view, that makes a lot of sense. I do tend to work myself to a point of exhaustion, a point of burnout quite often. I oftentimes am on the edge of doing too much and feeling too much, especially feeling too much. I put myself on the edge of the Three of Swords all the time for no damn good reason, other than the fact that I like to feel very deeply. And so it makes sense that the Four of Swords, which comes after that moment, is a part of my misunderstanding. And notice that like when I explained the Four of Swords, I really just kind of talked about the Three of Swords. So I think I know what the Four of Swords mean, but apparently according to this, I don't. So I'm gonna have to do some extra work with that. I don't think it would be the worst idea to have an altar around the Four of Swords, but hopefully in this case it wouldn't denote illness because I'm not trying to get sick, but we'll see. So according to the tarot, this is the card I least understand. So what is the card that I most clearly understand in the tarot? Oh, the World. Yeah, definitely. A friend of mine once really described the world to me in a way that she described that moment where you're laying in the grass right after high school graduation. Like you're literally like had just graduated like maybe a week before, you're laying in the grass with your friends, you're listening to music, and you're just kind of sitting in that space where you know the world has to end, you know things have to culminate, but you're just in full body happiness and pride and joy and full body presence in that moment. And so when I think about the world, that is oftentimes what I think of. You are literally dancing on the top of your accomplishments because you have made this massive achievement. This is a Earth card, which is the suit I think in general I understand the most. So I think it makes sense that it popped up for the card that I understand the most in tarot. I like this card a lot. So that was the World for the most clearly understood. So what card's meaning has changed over time? Ancestor of Cups, very cool. Okay, and that's my signifier, so that's King of Cups. So I actually have next to me the Mystical Origins of the Tarot, which goes through the meanings of the cards. So I'm gonna flip to this and then we can look at how it's changed. Okay, so here's the Ancestor of the Cup. I'm gonna scoot back just a little bit. And according to this book, this is what the King of Cups has meant over time. So it looks like it started as an old man, then we went to a blonde, honest man, fairness, art, science. Then we went into fair-haired man, so we're still there, goodness, kindness, liberality, generosity. This seems to be very similar to what I believe it is. Then we go to the golden dawn, graceful, poetic, indolent, but enthusiastic if roused, ill-dignified, sensual, idle, untruthful. There's quite a lot of shadowy characteristics here. And then we ended up down here, which is weight, which is a fair man, a man of business, law, or divinity. That makes sense. Like divinity seems to make sense to me, but business I would associate with King of Pentacles, and then law I would associate probably with King of Swords. Responsible, disposed to oblige the inquirer, definitely the truth. I definitely oblige the inquirer. That's a very fancy way of saying that we're people pleasers. Also equity, art, and science, including those who profess science, law, and art. Creative intelligence. So this is interesting. We went to a lot of like honesty and physical characteristics. It seems that art and science has kind of like stayed the same throughout. But here's responsible, and then here is honest. So I guess that's similar. But I think over time, some of the more negative aspects have really come into play. Because like Mathers had shifty in his dealings, distrust, doubt, and suspicion. Down here, Waite says, beware of ill will on the part of the man of a position and hypocrisy of pretending to help. It seems like these kind of negative characteristics are the ones that are really being drawn upon here. We also have creative intelligence, which is the first time that Waite says that. So I think over time, if I had to summarize this little chunk, it has stayed the same because there is a focus on art and science, but over time, Waite included the divinity aspect of it. So it seems like up here, it was mostly focused on like, you know, all of the kings, if you read them from like a Golden Dawn perspective, have a little bit of air in them. It seems like the history of the kings was a little bit more air focused. And then as time went on, we added art, we added divinity, we added creative intelligence. So more of the water elements became recognized as time went on. Very cool. Okay, so that was the King of Cups, or the Ancestor of Cups, for the card that has had its meaning most change over time. All right. And the next one would be, which card would I interpret the most intuitively? So what card do I tend to interpret the most intuitively? Oh, Apprentice of Swords, absolutely, totally. I definitely agree with this. I've spoken before that I am a little bit clairsentient. Like I really feel things very deeply in my body when I'm reading. It's one of the ways that I read tarot. One of my intuition like elements, or like forms of my intuition. And I always feel that way about the Page of Swords. Every time I pull this card, I just feel like a scattering of energy inside of my body. Like normally I feel things in my gut, in my stomach, but with the Page of Swords, I kind of feel it all over my body, of just kind of this wave, this big like whoosh, this set of various ideas, like kind of like a breeze that kind of blows over my body. And I very rarely take this card at like face value as someone that is like studious and scholarly. and enthusiastic about learning. That's not really where I take this at all. Instead, I really kind of feel it as a big whoosh of energy, and very rarely is it tied down to a person to me. It's kind of like when this kind of card comes down, it becomes like a placeholder for a lot of different feelings inside of me that are kind of equitable to the feeling that I get when I'm brainstorming. So I definitely agree. I love the Page of Swords. This is one of my favorite court cards of all time. That's so exciting to see. And then number 8, what is something that tarot cannot teach? I'm going to pull Oracle and I'm going to pull tarot for this one. Three of Pentacles. Release. Oh, I love how these look together. I'm getting the feeling of bonds here. So tarot to me can teach you a lot of things, but the one thing that it cannot teach you to do is to go play nicely with others. It can help you tap very intuitively into their energy to understand their points of view, to really feel what is going on inside of them as a living entity with a life force. But it cannot do the work for you. It cannot help you to maintain those bonds of friendship or acquaintanceship or anything of the sort with other individuals. It can help you come to conclusions so that you're able to better notice relationship patterns and do the work, but it cannot do the work for you. And that's what this is very loudly screaming, is that you can't use tarot as a substitute for genuine, real connection with other people. You know, you might be able to sense out their energy with the cards, but only in that moment where both of you are together or all of you are together and y'all are existing as humans and really seeing each other, are you able to experience that knowing. So it feels to me like tarot essentially gives you the portal to be able to understand other people more deeply. But if you only use tarot, you're only going to be stuck in the knowing of that relationship through that portal. You're just going to be seeing it. You're not really going to be experiencing it. So you have to release yourself from the cards. You have to release yourself from the reading of the energy of those around you to just go ahead and like experience those bonds and experience those relationships. So I think in short order, tarot cannot do the relationship work for you. You have to go and do it and learn how to collaborate. And you have to be willing to release yourself from the heavy work of like sitting at your table and pulling cards and journaling and just go fucking live your life. That's what it's saying very clearly here to me. Alrighty, so those were 8 questions that were posed by Fayside Tarot. And I'll leave a link in the description box below to both her video and Astaria Zen's video. And I'm just happy to get on here and do a little bit more reading. That really offers like me a place of happiness when I'm able to come on here and just kind of share readings with y'all. I think I would like to do that more. So I hope all of you have a wonderful day. It is always so great to be in this community with you, and I will see y'all again later.